took over our lives. It really took over our lives.
What we were also trying to do was look at rugby league fans, but also non-rugby league fans as well.
Doncaster's never going to get a bigger profile.
What happens after the World Cup?
16 nations, 16 schools have qualified to become a nation.
And give everyone, fans and visitors, an experience.
So Doncaster has won the Rugby League World Cup on its own. Just Doncaster's won it. Now we've won the bid to host not one, not two, but 3 games right here in Doncaster, which I think is phenomenal. And we've got the bid team right here who made all of that possible, along with your other wider teams, I'm sure. Firstly, could you just talk me through a little bit about how Doncaster has got to this point, the journey from putting in a bid to host the Rugby League World Cup to where we are now?
Yeah, well, 2013 we had a go at it, myself and Dean, and we were unsuccessful there. We learnt a lot from that. Fast forward to this World Cup, and what we learned is we needed to put a serious bid team together to represent the whole town, and we were just relentless. Didn't give up. Everything we learnt, we probably done more than any other host nation in the country. And even the World Cup team, every meeting we went to, it was like, we're just getting peppered by Donny every week. I don't know if you see it. And it made us proud, really. Yeah. So Lorna, Chris, Dean, you know, they just, it took over our lives. It really took over our lives.
Can I add to that? Because in 2013, the bid team, we put a good bid in. And the new bid was just the same. Well, it wasn't exactly the same against the wording. The difference was the marketing and the promotion and the way we went out and attacked that effort to market promotion and make people sit up and notice. And Lorna and the work she'd done and put together a marketing campaign, that won the bid because people stood up and took notice of Doncaster.
Yeah. What we thought was that we'd get the 13 because of the stadium, really. If we're honest, we thought we've got the stadium. There's no other real stadiums like this in our eyes, and we thought that would have been enough. It wasn't. And then, like I say, what Chris has just said there, what we learnt, we went global. We went global with our Back the Bid campaign through Lorna. She set all that up. So we got Hull players to do it, and they're going for a bid as well. We got New Zealand to do it, and Australians to do it, Samoans to do it. Everyone backed us. And
that was a real team effort because a lot of calls, contacts, but what we were also trying to do was look at rugby league fans, but also non-rugby league fans as well, and what is going to sit up and make them take notice and just actually keep it in the public domain, really, and just make sure that everyone did know that Doncaster were bidding and that we were really up for it. And I think the passion, it was as much about that, wasn't it? We weren't just doing it because we wanted to get a game. We wanted it for what it would bring to Doncaster for a whole and the future, and give everyone, fans and visitors, an experience as well. And it did become part of our lives, didn't it? That we just came adamant.
For the 4 of us, this took over a year of our lives. It dominated everything we did for a full year.
Yeah, if not longer, like I say, what Carl said as well from 2013, there were a lot of lessons learned, and I think the experience what we had, so we were unsuccessful in 13, but then we were able to host a friendly before the 13 World Cup. So we had the Kiwis and Cook Islands over here for a week. So we pretty much replicated what we would have done if we were successful. We took the players to the schools, to the community clubs, housed them in the hotel. So I think as much as it was a negative, it turned into a bit of a positive because we showed the RFL and the World Cup we can do it, and I think that's put us in good stead for 2021. Say going to be this year now, but that put us in good stead is, we can do it. So give us a chance, and as all these guys have said, we were relentless. We was, like say, hounding them because we knew we were up against some big host towns and cities. When we were up against London, Newcastle, Manchester, Wigan, Leeds, Hull, some of these, like say, big heartlands, historical heartlands of rugby league. So that's why we felt we had to go above and beyond to showcase what we can do. And as Carl said, and the other guys, we were hoping, let's get a game, we'd be happy. If not, we've now got 3 and Samoa staying here as a nation, so that's a big tick. Yeah, the Rugby League World Cup were absolutely adamant. It was about confidence. They wanted this to be the biggest and best Rugby League World Cup ever, and for that, they needed to sell tickets, and they wanted full stadiums. So ultimately, we were in the bid conveying that Doncaster can deliver. So they wanted to know
what other events do you have in Doncaster that are going to mean that you can either sell to those audiences or that you've got that reputation for delivering really high profile events. So they wanted to know about footfall to the train station, how many visitors come for certain things, and really, and they're exactly right, if that track record hadn't been in place for 2013, actually it would have been more difficult to convince them, I think, that we could do it.
Yeah.
So although the marketing was a real big piece, I think the package worked, didn't it? That we could meet all their criteria as well as actually really shouting about it.
Prior to 2013, like I say, is that we'd not had we didn't have a big track record in Doncaster since 2013 to the bid going in. We've had 3 Tour de Yorkshires, we've had a UCI cycle championships here, we've had Roses games for the female rugby union events down at Castle Park. So I think the Rugby League World Cup bid team could see that we'd come a long way in that short period of time, and we've got experience of delivering major events. These are world cycling events, etc. So that's probably been a big ticket item for them as well.
And Doncaster as a whole, Doncaster as a place has grown dramatically as well, hasn't it? Its profile, its reputation, the likes of the Wildlife Park, the likes of the racecourse, not just doing well at Ledger, but actually securing quality events and performances. Same here at the Eco Power Stadium. You know, the level has been increased dramatically, and this now forms one event of many that's doing really well. So it's the profile as well.
Well, David, let's not underestimate what we've done. Yeah. But from day one, the mayor Ros Jones was behind it. Joe Miller, CEO at the time, Damien, they're all been behind it. But not only that, the whole town's got behind us on this one through the campaign we did with the Back the Bid. It's massive for Doncaster. It's a world-class event. But what Dean said there, we would have been over the moon to get one game. We were confident if we got one game, we can fill the stadium. Our last promise was to fill the stadium for the games, but we got 3. How good's that? We got 3, but with 3 comes the expectations of filling the stadium.
3 times more tickets to sell as well,
exactly,
which is a big pressure. So.
Exactly right. So we're absolutely blown away with what we've achieved. Yeah. We're all very, very proud of what we've achieved. But it ain't been easy. No,
and it's time to deliver. In more specifically then for Doncaster as a town, you all represent slightly different sections of Doncaster with the job roles that you have. Probably starting with you, Lorna, from a visitor economy point of view, what does the World Cup, Rugby League World Cup coming to Doncaster mean for the people that are already residents of Doncaster that want to enjoy things happening in their town, as well as bringing people to Doncaster from outside?
So part of the advantage of the event being held when it is means we're kind of extending the traditional season as well, when we'd expect people to come during the summer holidays. But that also increases the programme of activity for our local people as well. So, you often hear in all kinds of towns, oh, there's something going on in our town. Well, the fact that we've got these 3 games as well, it means that people can plan. They can book accommodation, they can stay for all 3 games. So that's a boost for our hoteliers, for other attractions that they might do whilst they're here, visiting town, the restaurants. And so the wider tourism benefit really is increased as well. And I think what we want to do is make it normal that Doncaster is hosting these type of events, and that a World Cup coming to Doncaster isn't kind of seen as such an extraordinary event, but that's where we should be. The St Ledger Festival is a world-class event. We're on the world stage. Dean's mentioned we've hosted the Roses games at Castle Park as well. This is becoming part of the norm, and that's what we've got to try and ensure that our residents are aware of. There is plenty of stuff going on in our town, week in, week out. And we want them to be proud to tell their mates and say, have you got tickets for that game yet? And actually, I'm not really a rugby fan, but we've got a Rugby League World Cup in Doncaster. We've got to go. We've got to see these international teams play on our doorstep. And I think there's a lot of pride to be had by everybody. And there's much more of a benefit than literally 3 fixtures. And the guys will talk about the actual legacy of the event as well. But we want our residents, our people that either live here now, have moved here, or have aspirations to move here. We want to give them a leisure experience and a great reason to live, work and spend time here.
And there's going to be a lot of other activities in the build-up. It's not just about coming out on game day. There's lots of other activities in the week leading up to games and different things happening around the town. Is that right?
We're trying to make this an experience as much as possible. And again, people's expectations are increasing all the time. You don't just want to do something that you can do anywhere. We found out this week, Rugby League World Cup, they've got a fairly static delivery model, if you like. So if you go to a game here and you go to a game in Sheffield, they want that experience to be pretty similar. What we've said is, actually, no, we want to do things with the control that we've got in advance. Dean will talk more about that, but in the heart of Doncaster, we want fans and non-fans, if you like, to enjoy the rest of the Rugby League World Cup. So for the first time, all matches are being played on the BBC. So we found out the other day, 2013, there were only seven games shown on the BBC. So that's a huge increase from a rugby league point of view as well. It causes us another challenge because it means people could just watch at home, and we want them to get involved and part of the experience that Doncaster's got to offer.
Just to touch on and follow on from there as well, like Lorna said, I don't think we mentioned it's also the first time it's going to be the men's, the women's and the wheelchair World Cup all taking place at the same time. So that's probably a logistical nightmare for the World Cup and the organisers as well. So that's one. And then to touch on what Lorna said about the World Cup, want to make the games all look very similar. So we've got a bit of a remit now that before, so 20 minutes leading up to the game, they want them to be very similar about the teams walking out and the flag bearers and the mascots, etc. But then also, we can also do some activity prior to that. So 20 minutes to 90 minutes, we can do things. So we've got plans what we want to do with our school children, coming out and doing a parade around the stadium with the flags. One here, as you can see, so all the rest of the nations doing things with, as we said, Samoa staying in the town. We've got plans for a local primary school to do the Samoan Civi Tau dance before the game, just to raise that atmosphere. And then also big one, what we've been able to secure is the England band. So the England football band will be at all our 3 games to create that atmosphere, experience, buzz. As we said, it's not just about, yes, it is a World Cup, but we want, like say, non-rugby fans who might not watch rugby before, not to come, to come for that experience. They might, maybe never seen one before, but they think it's in Doncaster, it's a World Cup, some of the best players in the world, and it's a bit of a party atmosphere as well. So that's what we wanted to try and sell and replicate to everybody.
Yeah, and as well then, so based on what Lorna and Dean have just said in particular, it seems like all eyes are on Doncaster, like you say, whether that be on television, whether it be people in the town, people visiting the town. Chris, from your point of view, if you've got people watching this or listening to this that are a local business, how good is this going to be, this Rugby League World Cup in Doncaster, for the local business economy as well? So if you're like a local cafe owner or food or drink or any types of services in Doncaster.
In terms of business and investment, it is massive. As we just said, it's live on the BBC. Every game, Doncaster's never going to get a bigger profile in terms of a world event. So we want businesses, we want everybody to encompass this event. And don't forget, when it's held, Doncaster may be a city. It's a town now, it may be a city. We're just awaiting the results, which will come out in the next 2 weeks. Hopefully we've got city status. But in terms of investment, it'll raise the profile. In terms of local business, we're bringing people in, as you rightly say, supply chains, cafes, local restaurants, hotels. Everybody will benefit from this World Cup in Doncaster if we get it right and we get the people. We're not just selling this to Doncaster people. We want as many Doncaster people coming as possible. And let's fill the stadium with Doncaster people. That's Carl's hope, fervent hope. But we know we're going to get external people coming in. We want to make these people feel welcome. We want to bring them to Doncaster, have a massive experience, and the following for that is, for business, potential further investment. People will see what Doncaster is as a town or city and embrace what we're trying to do. There's also quite a lot of corporate hospitality available for local businesses to get involved in the games. Book a box, book seats, bring your employees to the games. There's quite a lot of opportunities there. We want all Doncaster businesses, community, everybody to embrace this event, and it can only be for the benefit of the business community.
Doncaster is delighted to host 3 fixtures of the Rugby League World Cup 2021. Doncaster's 3 fixtures played at the Eco Power Stadium will start on Monday the 17th of October at 7:30pm. It's France versus Greece. On Sunday the 23rd of October at 5pm is Samoa versus Greece. And the final fixture is Monday the 31st of October at 7:30pm, Papua New Guinea versus Wales. Get your tickets at the link in the description.
Moving on then to probably something that you two can talk about, Carl. Indeed, I know Lorna mentioned the word legacy earlier on. My understanding of that is, once this World Cup's happened and it's achieved incredible things, Doncaster's on the map globally, businesses have profited and all of this type of stuff. What sort of legacy could an event like this leave behind for young people, for Doncaster as a town, everybody in our town, hopefully, fingers crossed, city? If you want to discuss through like what this could mean for the future, not just this event.
Yeah, listen, when we got the 3 games, the first thing, as we do, we're just relentless. So I'm back into the mayor's office to speak to the mayor and the CEO and saying, you know, what happens after the World Cup? You know, we had a plan. We sat down as a bid team. We discussed where do we go now. And mine was, when the World Cup's finished, we don't want it to end. We want to see the benefits of this for years and years to come. So we spoke to them about a legacy officer, and they were massive in supporting us with that. If they didn't support us with that, it probably wouldn't have happened. So very grateful to them. And all through the lockdown, our legacy officer was working with the schools. I think he almost took over all the schools because the teachers didn't know what to do with the kids, and there was all rugby league resource going into them on the teams meetings, and we all said, listen, the World Cup's not off yet last year, so let's just, as Doncaster say all the time, let's crack on. Let's just keep going. Everyone else paused. We just kept going. And the spin-off to that is it was off, so that was okay. It gave us another year to even prepare even more, but we were already way ahead of everyone else. So we've just gone on and on. Now, in terms of the legacy, we're already seeing that at our games at Doncaster Dons, because the crowds have gone up over 20% already for us. So there is something happening where there's a bit of excitement going on and people are aware of the World Cup. We want now the stadium to be full of Doncaster people. You know, we went global with our bid. We're trying to calm down a little bit and keep it to ourselves now, because we don't want, like Lorna said, our people missing out. We want our people to come to the stadium for the tournament to watch these 3 games. You know, when we brought New Zealand in 2013, the kids are still talking about that now, the schools they went into. Let me tell you, when the Samoan boys go into the schools, they will embrace the schools. They'll be going with open arms to these kids and teaching them everything. And these kids will never, ever forget this for years. They'll be telling their kids, me and rugby league, all I want is more kids in Doncaster playing rugby league and more clubs playing rugby league. When I first came, they used to have a Doncaster Cup, you know, and they had loads of teams in that, Rosington, Moor Ends, all of them. I want to try and get back to that. Won't happen overnight, but let me tell you, we'll try everything we can to keep it going, and hopefully we reap the rewards of a world-class event coming to Doncaster in many years to come.
Yeah. And Dean, I know you're probably best to touch on what sort of activities and the programme and the schedule of things that are happening in schools, not just schools and young people, but also the local rugby clubs as well that Carl just touched on. Like what plans is there to get them involved in this?
Yeah, so just to follow on from Carl and he touched on the legacy officer. So we've got Martin's working in the school. So when, let's say, tournament should have happened last year, Martin's been in post for 3 years now, so we wanted to try and touch as many schools as we could. So I think the first time we started, you had 40 odd schools involved. This year, leading up to the World Cup, we had to streamline it a bit and just think, do we want to give a little bit for everyone or concentrate on and give some more impact on these schools? So what we've done, 16 nations, 16 schools have qualified to become a nation, so they've all been given a nation. From the Rugby League World Cup, they've got education resources so they can learn about their nation's culture, language, geography, history, etc., etc. So that's that one. And then part of Martin's programme as well is to then offer tournaments for these children who in those schools. We'll be having tournaments up to lead up to the World Cup. offering training and CPD for the teachers. So again, building on that legacy so they can then take the skills of how to deliver rugby league. Some of these teachers might have never delivered rugby league to their children, and that's probably why they don't play it. So if we can give them some training and resources, etc., to continue that long term, that's a plan. And then touch on the clubs. Like Carl said, we've got three clubs in Doncaster at the moment. We want to try and raise their profile, get more kids playing. If Martin can do a sterling job in the schools, then hopefully when these kids are wanting somewhere to play, there's clubs on the doorstep where they can go. So that's a big one. And part of the World Cup as well, they've got, I think it was £10 million for community clubs to access funding. So Bentley Rugby Club are in the process of hopefully securing up to nearly £250,000 to go towards a community hub and changing pavilion for them. So they are our largest junior team, junior and senior club in Doncaster, but the changing facilities are poor. They're getting changed in 2 porta cabins at the back of a working men's club, which is not the greatest of facilities, let's say, for our young people if we're wanting to play the game, and they're getting changed in porta cabins and playing on council fields, etc. So that's our aspiration, is to give them a home for life where they can grow the game, get more girls playing, let's say expand the senior section and the juniors. So that's our aspiration from day one. Is what we said is we want to, I think we said from day one, Carl, we said we want to bring the World Cup, we want to fill the stadium, and we want to give a lasting legacy for our community clubs. And that's not just like, say, I've mentioned Bentley, there's Moor Ends, there's Tolbar. We're also working with those guys as well as what plans and what development do they need. And that's part of mine and Martin's role, is to try and support them grow as a club. And then let's say they've got the opportunity to take on more young people moving forward.
I'll just say, David...
Dean, it's rugby league. We want people playing more rugby, but we want people more active in sport.
Yeah.
A massive shout out to Martin Rowlands, doing an unbelievable job. I've been with him on a couple of the schools. It's not easy, but massive shout out to him. He's doing fantastic.
Yeah, I think you can already see from all the different aspects. Although on the surface of this, for say a non-rugby fan, it's like, oh, someone's coming to play rugby in Doncaster, like wow. But then now the way you've explained the whole thing around it, I think it's clear to see that this is bigger than just a sport coming to Doncaster for a couple of weeks. It's like it's a huge thing. The legacy thing, I think, will definitely touch a lot of people that are watching this, especially that are parents, and they're thinking, wow, this is a big event that we can get involved in, we can get excited about, we can be proud of our town, but then after that, I think I'm going to see if my kid wants to go and play a bit of rugby or do this, a bit of that. And like you say, like you just said there, Chris, getting more active. So I just want to touch on as well, throw a bit of a curveball in that I've not discussed with any of you. We've got the Samoan flag there because we're hosting Samoa, as Doncaster's team are hosting Samoa. Obviously, a lot of people in Doncaster are probably going to be supporting England. But my question to you would be, if you had to make a prediction for who will win the Rugby League World Cup, what would your prediction be? Who's going to win it?
I think we know who Carl's going to say, and it probably won't be England. So,
should we start with you, Dean? Who do you think's going to win?
Well, I'm sat next to Carl here, who's a Kiwi. So, if I was sat maybe where Chris is, I could say it. So, I'm going to be, as the World Cup, want to be bold and brave, which I'm going to be now, and I'm going to go Australia.
Bold and brave, Australia.
No, bold and brave away from Carl, because he might
not want to support his own.
So what are you saying?
Listen, as you know, we've already beat England last year with the All-Stars, and we'll probably do it again in the 18th of June in Warrington. But Dean's right, I'll always go for New Zealand.
New Zealand. And what about you, Lorna?
And well, this is where I have to say, prior to working on the bid team, I had really very little knowledge about rugby league, and I think that's brought a different dynamic as well, because everyone around the table loves rugby league, and I'm kind of going, hang on, what about those visitors that aren't that bothered about that part, but actually there's something else for them as well, and so because no one else will go, I'm going to go England.
Chris?
Dave, realistically, this is a tournament that will only be won by one of 4 teams, but this is about every team taking part and coming to Doncaster. So whether it's Papua New Guinea, and some of the Cook Islands, some of the small teams, it's about taking part, but realistically it's going to be Australia, New Zealand, or hopefully England.
Okay, well,
hey, don't write Samoa off in that first game against England and Newcastle. I'm telling you, if they pick the right team, I'm serious. Don't write them off either.
I'll go Samoa then.
Good lad.
I'll stick local.
And for family commitments, I've got to give a shout out to Wales as well.
Wales, why not? So just before we wrap this up then, I'll just run through here what the fixtures are if anyone wants to get involved. So at the Eco Power Stadium right here in Doncaster on Monday the 17th of October, 7:30 p.m, we've got France versus Greece. We've got on Sunday the 23rd of October at 5 p.m, we have Samoa, which is Doncaster's team obviously, versus Greece. And then we have at 7:30 p.m. on Monday the 31st of October, Papua New Guinea and Wales.
Yeah, that could be a good one, David. The PNG,
Halloween night.
PNG
well.
Wales one could be a World Cup qualifier as well for the pair of them. So it might be a counting game.
Brilliant. So, and then just to finish off then, I'll hand over to Lorna to tell us where, if you want to get involved, get tickets or find out any information on what sort of events are happening on any of what we've discussed, where should we go to find that out?
Of course, there's only one place to go to find out all of that information, and that is visitdoncaster.com. So the website will give you information about how to get tickets and about offers for families and groups as well. We're very keen to go down the group sales facility, and that includes for schools. Anyone wanting to take part to be on the pre-match entertainment, there's loads of opportunities. So if anybody wants to speak to us about those directly, then feel free to get in touch.
Just on that group sales as well, as Lorna said, we've got, that's where we're gonna, so we can sit all the children together, etc. Is where, regards to the 3 games, we're going to have, each of the community clubs are going to have a game, so that the kids at that club will be doing the mascots, the ball crew, flag bearers, and then when the schools come as well, we can sit them all together. So we haven't got mum and dad sat in the west stand and the kids sat in the north stand. We're going to congregate them all together. So having that group sales advantage of sitting everyone together, all the kids together, create that atmosphere. That's, let's say, that's a big ticket item.
And discount,
for us.
of course,
on
yeah, group sales.
Everybody likes a bit of discount.
But I think that's even worth just touching on as well. Don't be put off. You know, we're talking about children's tickets from £5, adults tickets from £10, £15. This is a really accessible World Cup event in Doncaster, so don't miss out on that.
The league is a family sport. What we want to do is bring families to this event, and it's taking place in October half term. So there's no excuse for families not to come. Tickets are cheap, as Lorna said. This is a family. It's the one chance to bring your family to see a world event taking place in Doncaster that's live across the world. Don't miss it. It's the one chance.
I think we end it on that note.
Let's sell it out! Yeah. Making sure that all our pupils and parents know that it's actually happening here in Doncaster. There's Watson, I can see him!
An experience like that, kids, just can't buy.
Of course, it's going to create that buzz, it's going to create that feel-good factor.
And the children feel like they've got a vested interest in it.
It's not only affordability, it's accessibility. It ticks both boxes.